folks, so your next role is the theme tracker. And your first initial thing you need to make sure you have is your role notes out and the role sheet that corresponds to theme tracker. And also a pen or pencil. You'll probably want that too because you might jot something down on your notes, or you might already kind of start getting, a head start on the role sheet as we talk. Either way, pen, pencil, notes, and your role sheet. Make sure you have that out. So, you might just say, well, I've kind of already been tracking theme topics as I've been going along in this book anyways. You have, which is awesome. And the reason is because I want every single person as they're reading this book to be thinking about theme. But your job as the theme tracker is you are like the one who is super duper zoning in on just the theme as you read, the developing theme, whether this is your 25 to 50% chunk or whether you are finishing off and this is your last roll. I want you to be thinking about the fact that, and I'm going to look at this slide here, every novel has at least one theme or thesis to learn as the reader. I throw thesis in because if you have a nonfiction text, then you're clearly going to have more of a thesis. Theme and thesis, remember, are very similar things. They are built over the course of the whole text. You have to notice the patterns of those topics. You have to track those topics so that by the end, remember, you can say, okay, here are those overall big sentence statements that are those universal truths that the author is trying to teach me throughout the book. Can there be a theme in a nonfiction text? Absolutely. We obviously refer to those more often as thesis, but a theme that you are going to be looking for by the end of this book is a universal truth that is the author's main message in the text. Remember, there can absolutely be more than one lesson you're supposed to learn from a story, right? But what is one of those universal truths, right? Hope is something that we have to hold on to. Family is something that cannot be replaced. What are those universal sentences that you can build that is built over the course of the book through seeing those topics inserted in several different places? So our job as readers is to notice as we read and try to understand why the author would insert those patterns of theme topics in order for us to, by the end, I like to say, connect the dots and see a theme. So you have to be looking at all those different places that you see a theme topic happening, like hope or anxiety or loss or murder or death or race or gender. You have to be looking at those theme topics to, by the end, say, this all stacks up to teach me this statement. So what exactly do you do in this role? Follow along on this slide as I talk you through it. One, you are going to look for and bring attention to the patterns of the theme topics. So far on your sheet, you've been talking about, okay, 1 word or 2 word topics that you see happening. Maybe in wonder, you're talking about you see bullying or self-image or family loyalty, right? Whatever you're noticing. You are going to first start off by identifying the theme topics. 2, you're going to think about those patterns of topics and you're going to notice how they connect to a greater lesson. The greater lesson is going to be a theme statement. If you are in the beginning, more of in the beginning of a book, you probably don't have this grand scheme of how it's going to connect. But if you're having this roll towards the end, you're going to be thinking about how does all these different little spots where it's talking about family and loyalty really start to teach me about these greater understandings of this theme topic? What do I think I should be learning through the characters of the conflicts that are going through this? So far, all you're doing is you're looking for those theme topics. 3, on your roll sheet, you are going to bring 3 instances of where you noticed a theme topic happening. And I'll skip down to number 5. They can absolutely be different theme topics, or you can focus on just one type. So for instance, you could just, and I'll move this down, you can focus on just looking at bullying, 3 times in the text, where the author is using a conflict or a specific instance to comment on bullying, right? Who is involved and what did we learn through bullying in that beginning, middle, end section of your text. If you're able to build a theme statement from the section you've read, awesome. If you feel that you can't build that yet and you can just identify topics, that's great. So I'm going to skip over to this next slide. This is your roll sheet, and what it's going to look like is you're going to be writing the summary And you're not going to do that theme topic thing that you've been doing in the other role sheets, because your whole essence of your role is to be talking about theme. After you write a summary of your text, as you read, you are going to, right here where you see my mouse, you are going to identify the theme topic or topics that you have seen happening in your section of the book so far. Just the section, okay? And you are going to say, in the beginning of the section, in the middle of my section I read, and the end of the section I read for this round, for this discussion, here are 3 different places and exactly what is happening in the book when I see those things happening. So let's just say that you are noticing that there is this existence of a character dealing with loss, and she is suicidal and she is in a mental institution. She is in rehab. She is dealing with it, right? I just am reading a book right now where a girl is dealing with the loss of her brother, and so she is suffering from an eating disorder and she is put into rehab, right? So I would say I am noticing that my character is dealing with loss and she is experiencing it as this something that is full of guilt. She cannot get rid of it. Loss is something that is absolutely causing guilt. In the middle of my section, I'm noticing that loss is something that comes and goes. She isn't thinking about it all the time. Sometimes it's hitting her harder than other times. At the end of the section that I'm reading, I'm noticing that loss is something that she's starting to distance herself from. She's not feeling as much guilt as she kind of felt at the beginning of the section. So I'm sort of starting to notice these patterns of how this character is experiencing loss, the things she is physically going through because of loss. So under topics, I would say I'm really dealing with this idea of experiencing loss in my book. I don't know if I can quite build a theme statement around loss right now, but I want to kind of note the way that my character is experiencing loss. Let's say that your theme topic is bullying. Where are 3 different places in your section where you see your character or characters or people that are bullying? Where do you see bullying occurring? Where do you see those theme topics happening in your book? If you're reading nonfiction, where do you see if you're talking about that you're going to learn a thesis about obesity in America, right? Where are 3 instances where you really see obesity, a lesson being learned about obesity, or the existence of the author even talking about your thesis in the book? How is the topic being discussed in your section this week? And then, of course, the page numbers where you see those pieces of evidence occurring. If you have any questions about what you're supposed to be tracking, just go back to day 1 of thinking about what subject topics are you noticing your characters experiencing in your text. If you need any help, let me know. But next, you're going to go on for some practice, and then you are going to go on to your role sheet. Let me know whatever you need. Good luck with being the theme tracker this week.